What's good, people? This is Clint, aka ClintMusic, and I specialize in producing music for TV and film. And I teach other producers how to monetize their music by showing them how to produce, prepare, and pitch placement-ready music for TV as well. Listen, man, when you got kids and they get a hold of your glasses and you put them on because you're about to go live, and then you notice it's like mad smudges and fingerprints on this joint. I put these, it was looking mad cloudy. Shout out to my oldest. I had asked, I was like, why do you have my glasses? You just like, I want to look like you, daddy. That cracked me up. So he got me. I couldn't even get mad. Like I was about to get mad, and I couldn't even get mad at that. I'm like, you want to look like daddy. I can't be mad at you for that. So shout out to everybody in the stream, man. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know what you do today on today's podcast, man. So I posted a video earlier on my YouTube channel about a recent placement on the History Channel. I'm catching my breath because I ran out of steps. And I learned some things. I learned 3 things specifically from these recent placements, and then some other placements I've gotten as of, I don't know, over the past 6 months or so. And there's 3 things that really stood out, and I'm going to go over those 3 things today. So make sure you stay locked in. Make sure you got your notepads, because I'm gonna share some gems that's going to help you when you're creating music for sync and all that stuff. So let me see what we got in the building, man. We got, let me see, Genuine Life. Do you copyright your music? Oh, first comment is a question. Let's go. Do you copyright your music before pitching your music? It depends. It really depends. It's a case-by-case basis. A lot of the instrumental stuff I produce for TV, I don't, being 1000% honest, I don't even worry about it, because number one, that joint's gonna get mad expensive unless I wait and save and do a whole collection of works and then just send everything. As far as, you know, everything I do and as fast as it's going out, like, yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. So, but do what makes you feel comfortable, because one thing y'all not about to do is come back like, yo, Clint, like you said you don't do this, blah, 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 and then you in a lawsuit. Nope. So do what makes you feel comfortable. Do what you feel like, you know, will work out for you. But I've never, knock on wood, I've never had an issue in this sync space with like a supervisor trying to steal my 1.5 minute, you know, orchestral hip hop instrumental. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Amar Monroe, what's good? Also hosts a review show and would love to have you on if you ever have time. It is home for a lot of independent artists. Super dope, man. Shoot an email. There's an email on my Instagram page at ClintMusic. Send it there, and then we'll review it. If I have time, I'll try and make it happen. If not, we'll let you know that as well. I wanted to know that process. Indeed. AJ Young Fresh, LZ in the building. Jathan Sparks Music, what's good? Why is it so hard to submit music? It's not. I guess to clarify, what in your eyes is hard about, like, what do you find challenging when it comes to submit music for TV and film? Then we can figure out how to make it easier, number one, and figure out like where the roadblock is coming, because you know, there's different aspects of submitting music. You know, who are you submitting to? How are you submitting it? Are you submitting music that they even need? You know what I mean? And so like those different things, like if one of those things are off, then yes, it will seem hard. But once you have like all those things aligned, and you know you're doing it the proper way, that's when it'll, you know, things will be easier, and things will just start to work and move because you've cracked the code. By the way, if you want to avoid mistakes before submitting, which these are the things that make it hard to submit and the things that increases the chances of you hearing no, if you're on my IG page, just type the word mistakes. I'll send you a free guide. For those on YouTube, just hit the link in the description, the clintproductions.com/link in bio, and you can get that free guide as well to show you the top mistakes to avoid. So yeah, my glasses and shoes. Yeah, man, kids will rip you for everything. Atlanta's in the building, Detroit's in the building, LA, Chicago right now, but Houston, Toledo, Ohio. Shout out to Scotty B. Shout out to the hometown, Toledo. Shout out to WTOL. They did a segment about me and my guy. We had a placement on Grand Crew. So that was super dope. Shout out to WTOL 11 in Toledo, Ohio. Super cool. Producer from LA, love it. Michael Connor Music is in the building. What's good? Storm Joint, Orlando, Florida, guitarist and music producer. Vancouver, UK is in the building. Producer in Seattle, super dope. Chicago's in the building. New Orleans is in the building. I love it. Super dope. So let's dig into it, man. 3 things I've learned from recent TV placements. As I take a sip of water, I'm ashamed. I haven't had water all day. So number 1, I learned to think ahead and keep alternate versions in mind. So if you go back to the video I posted earlier today on YouTube, I mentioned the strings and how I did the strings a certain way and my thought process when I put those strings together. That was something that I did. I was more intentional on that specific track. But what I learned after seeing the track, be successful, was that I need to think ahead a lot more in the tracks that I'm producing, and you should think ahead too. So what I mean by think ahead is when you're creating a track, you're not just thinking about, okay, just this beat, this finished product, it's just this one beat. You have to think about the fact that multiple versions are going to be created. Sometimes we as the producers are creating these alternate versions. Sometimes the editors at the publishing company are creating these versions. So it just depends, but you want to keep that in mind when you create, because the more versions that can be created from the one beat, the more opportunities you have of actually getting a placement. For example, I think in the track that got placed on the Toys That Built America on the History Channel, I think it was like 7 versions that was created from that one track. So that's 7 chances from just one track being created. You know what I'm saying? So I produced the one track, sent that to the publisher, and then they created these alternate versions. And based on the alternate versions, it just showed me, okay, the way I was thinking about the strings and different things like that was great, because that's exactly what they used when they created some of these, these cut downs and underscore versions and things like that. So thinking ahead and composing your track, thinking, okay, if you have all guitars, even from an organizational standpoint, if they come back to you and say, hey, we want guitars only, or we want synths only, or we want strings only, organize your session in a way to where you can quickly solo all your strings or all your guitars. And you have labeled what everything is, so that you can quickly solo or mute certain things, so you can quickly create those stems and get them off. Or if you're sending, the track outs to them, name everything in a way to where they can quickly identify what's what, so they can quickly create those versions. You make their life easier, they're going to come back and they're going to give you more work. It's just how it works. See, Guyana in the building, North Carolina, I see y'all. So thinking ahead when you produce. So now, like, every time I'm sitting down to create music for TV, I'm going to do that more. I'm going to think about what could the final alternate version sound like or be, and then just kind of section things off in a way that'll make it easier, not only for myself, but for editors who may be creating these versions as well. So that's number 1. If you guys have questions on the YouTube channel, definitely drop them in the chat as I'm talking about this stuff. to make sure you guys understand. Genuine Life says, do you do exclusive or non-exclusive or both? It's a great question. I have a combination of both. A lot of the full song stuff that I do, most of that stuff is non-exclusive. And then there's some stuff that's exclusive. So yeah, it's a combination of both. You'll see both. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Again, it's just about what you feel comfortable with. Whatever you're cool with being exclusive for a period of time, or maybe for forever, depending on the deal. Some of the stuff is in perpetuity. So whatever you're okay with, that's cool. And then don't get scared of in perpetuity either. Like, some people freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, that means forever. It's okay. Like, if they're placing it and they're pitching it forever, then that means you're going to get royalties forever. It could mean you're possibly getting upfront sync fees forever. So just depend on how that deal is structured. But yeah, combination of both. Could you provide examples of alternate versions? Everyday Runway. Go back to the video I posted earlier. It's sync placement breakdown. I posted it I don't know, what was it, 2-3 o'clock or something this afternoon. Go back to that video and you'll see the examples of alternate versions in that video. And it's a lot of, they made 7 of them. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Jathan Sparks Music says, are you remixing when they request a different version, or am I only sending stems and they are remixing as necessary? Another great question. No, so the way I do it is, it's just I mix the track one time. So I create the full beat and then mix it, master it. I do everything myself, right? So it's mixed and mastered by myself. So I literally just have everything in one session, makes it easier. And then I'll just create the versions based off of that final mixed, mastered version in the session. So depending on what they're having me create, I may create an alternative session within my Logic Pro session. They kind of give you this option to create alternate versions of this actual session. So I'll do that, or I'll just I'll highlight a region in the track. Say it's 30 seconds, right? I'll highlight the 30 seconds that I want to bounce out, and then I'll just bounce that out and create the version like that. If it's, just certain sounds being taken out, I'll just mute all the strings and then bounce a version with the strings muted. So it's all running through that same mix and master. So everything is consistent. Sometimes I'll take the plug-in, the limiter, the plug-in that's just boosting the volume, the master volume. Sometimes I'll disable that so that they have headroom. Because sometimes they'll take your individual stems and do their own mixes, which was the case for the track that was in that previous video as well. So they'll do that sometimes. They'll just ask you for stems and then they'll do the final mix. So in that case, I'll just disable certain plugins on my master and send them those unmastered stems so they can do what they need to do. Yes, Logic Pro gang. I love it. Are the rules different for getting songs placed? Not really. I mean, there's additional rules because now you have lyrics to keep in mind. But those are, just knowing what themes work well for TV, staying away from, brand names and people and specific places and years and times and dates and stuff like that, unless specifically asked for. But other than that, the process is the same for a song or an instrumental. You make sure you're registered with the PRO. You find research companies that would fit well with the music you make. You create the music, and then, you send that music, reach out to them, send the music to them once they give you permission. And then they'll match it with the clients that need the music that you make. So the process is the same. It's need based. So whatever company needs what, that's what's going to determine what gets placed at the end of the day. So that's number one. Think ahead and keep alternate versions in mind. Number two, the second thing that I've learned from these recent placements is, and this has been a big one. Like I've noticed this honestly, the entire last album I did for West One Music Group, this was like a reoccurring thing because they asked for it specifically. So I was intentional because that's what they asked for, just follow directions, right? So the second thing is create tracks with multiple stings. This has been very, very eye-opening to me. And it's crazy because my guy, shout out to my guy 85 Productions LLC, Nelson. He like a couple years back, he came on a live Zoom call, and he had broke down a session he did, and he broke down his structure. And his structure had multiple stings, and like we all looked at the joint like, yo, he just gave us like the secret sauce. So then when I was asked about this from this publisher, it reminded me of that, and I'm like, my man been on this for years, and I get it now. So the multiple stings, man, is like a cheat code because now you give editors like multiple sections to work with. So for example, one of the alternate versions that you'll see in the previous video I posted, they created a 30-second version, but it was like it wasn't from like the end of the track. It was from like the beginning of the track, like from intro to like the end of the first hook. And they created a 30-second version just from that. They didn't have to do any extra work. They literally just like chopped it, and then boom, they got a 30-second version instantly. Because I put a sting ending at the end of the first hook, and it was like, I don't know, it was like 2 measures, right? So it was a sting ending, it was like dun, then it was like 2 measures, and then the track came back in on the second verse. And then I always put a sting ending at the end of like the final hook. So there was sting ending there. Then I did another track that was played. It was one of the tracks that was placed on Young African Young and Famous, Young Famous and African. It was a track that was placed multiple times on that show, the latest season of that show, where I think I had 3 sting endings in that, and they used it a lot of times throughout that season. So that's when I was just like, all right, I'm just creating tracks with multiple sting endings from now. I just finished like a anthemic hip hop kind of track, and I put a couple sting endings in there as well. So that has been working really, really well. Highly recommend, at least 2 sting endings. You're gonna make editors' day. They just gonna love you. And they're gonna come back to you because they're gonna be like, listen, this person makes my life easy. And that's what we want to do. I tell you all the time, you're in sync to serve. So figure out a way you can serve somebody and make their life easier. And guess what happens as a byproduct? Your life gets better. So yes, that has been super helpful, creating tracks with multiple stings. Let me go through these questions, see what y'all asking. Cruel Intentions, what's up? Do you write and record your own lyrics? I do sometimes. Sometimes I do. I have one that I have to finish up. It was like for an ad. It was 30 seconds, but I'm going to make it a full song. So sometimes I do. Not a lot. Like 2011 to 2013 was probably, those couple years was probably the most I've written, because I was writing for a lot of indie artists and stuff. Mostly R&B stuff, but yeah, I've been focused more so on just locking in on production and then passing stuff off to just crazy dope writers and singers and stuff like that, and rappers who are just phenomenally more better than I am. So sometimes I do, though, especially if it's like a super quick deadline where it's just like, sometimes these deadlines are so quick you don't even have time for somebody to hit you back. Tim Bird is in the building. What's good? When it comes to creating stems, should the volume be at 0 dB or the level it is in the mix? That depends on what they're asking for. Some publishers will ask for unmastered stems and mastered stems. Some will ask for mastered stems. So I leave everything exactly as it is in the mix, right? So for example, if it's mastered stems, I will leave everything as is. So I'll bounce the full version out with all the plugins enabled, volume mastered at like negative 0.1, because I don't know, I don't have it like right at 0. So I'll do like or is it plus 0.1, one of those. So no, I think it's negative. So I'll bounce everything out, the full track just as is, and then all the stems I create, if they're master stems, I'll just bounce everything out exactly how it's leveled in the mix, so I don't change anything. And then if they, they want unmastered, the only thing I'll do is just disable plugins that are just boosting that volume up, and then I'll just bounce everything out as is. So whatever the level it is in the mix, that's how I'll bounce it out. That way they don't have to like literally remix the entire thing. You know what I mean? It'll make it a little bit easier. And sometimes, like, I know, on the industry side of things, like you're sending track outs to artists and stuff. Shout out to these disrespectful gnats. When you send track outs to the engineer, sometimes they'll tuck a sound way low, like, and he was like, no, like I want that synth, especially don't tuck my synths, man. I like my synths to be synthing. Maybe taking the synths and turning them all the way down, especially the synth leads. So, sometimes they'll they get it as close to how you want that joint to sound and then bounce it out like that. So when they drag it in their session, it's gonna sound pretty close to what you actually want it to sound like. So that way, if they're starting from scratch, they don't hear it like you heard it. So, and that even when you do that, man, sometimes I've had a couple mixes that was mixed by, the publisher's team, and I was not happy. Yeah, I wasn't happy with a couple mixes, but it is what it is, man. Finesse is in the building. What's up, DJ Finesse? Patty P, what's good, Patty? Rob Hamlet, what's good? So that was number 2. Create tracks with multiple stings. We're gonna get into number 3 shortly. Let me see if I missed any questions. Everyday Runway. I'm a singer songwriter, not a producer. Any advice on finding a producer? Are there certain questions an artist should ask them to ensure it's a good fit? That's a good question. So there's a bunch of producers in here, I can tell you now. There's also going to be a bunch of producers in the live music reviews that we're going to do at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, pretty much right after this on YouTube as well. So join that, because there's some fire producers in that joint. But as far as finding them, I mean, Instagram is like a gold mine. Use a hashtag producer, boom, you got a sea full of producers. And then you can just kind of search, go through their page, see if it's music that you like. If you rock with it, reach out to them. Questions I would ask: are you familiar with sync licensing? Not everybody's going to be, but I think the main thing is like, yo, how fast can you work? Do you mix your stuff? How fast can you turn over things? Because deadlines are quick in sync. And, making sure they're responsive, like get contact info, email, phone number. Make sure you can contact them. Ask them if they're good with, doing split sheets and stuff like that. They shouldn't have an issue. Like, anybody who has issues with paperwork is just sus. Like, just don't even mess with them. That's weird. It's 2023. Like, if you scared of paperwork at this point, you shouldn't be working in this business. So yeah, those are some questions that would come to mind. What's their favorite genre? Like, what can they just knock out without thinking about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you knock out in your sleep? What's your favorite genre to produce? That would be a question I would ask. That way, okay, you can have a go-to producer for your pop EDM stuff. You can have a go-to producer for your hip hop R&B stuff. You can have a go-to producer for some pop rock stuff. So you can have some go-to people as a songwriter, to be able to take advantage of a lot of different opportunities with these sync companies. So that's what I would do. DJ Finesse is, but what if I got the special sauce on the mix and they won't be able to recreate it? Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, just bounce. Some things is some things I don't know. Like, you can always like go back and say, hey, can we, some publishers will they'll send you the final mix and say, hey, what are your thoughts? Like, is there anything you want us to change? So that's cool. And then you have some where it's like, by the time you figure out the thing was finalized, they done released it on all the streaming platforms. So in order for them to update it, they would have to, and they probably ain't gonna go through all that. So yeah, if you want to keep your special sauce on the mix it and just send them the final stems. Which that's what most companies will ask you for. So yeah, TV placement mastery tomorrow. I can't wait. So Rachel Evans says, do you receive requests for songs relevant to specific holidays, such as Christmas songs? Absolutely. Yo, we did. Somebody, my guy, Eric, he had posted something on Threads. Shout out to Threads. That's new. But he had posted, like, we were on Christmas stuff in April. So yes, you absolutely receive requests for Christmas music in spring. It's nice, sunny outside. Nobody's thinking about Christmas, but people who work in sync at that point. So yes, I think that you get Christmas stuff. Honestly, I think that's the big holiday. Like, I don't really think. Yeah, Christmas is like the biggest one. Just the holiday season, holiday/Christmas music. It's all bundled into the same request pretty much around that time. So absolutely. Gil, what's up, Gil? Shout out to Gil, a beast in this sync space. Storm Joint is producer. Yeah, see all these producers. AJ Young Fresh, producer. Zimzada, I see you. Team Dope in the building. Shout out to the channel members holding it down. Another question: do you have a training course on how we would go about checking on forwarded tracks and how to follow up on what's been used and where, royalties, etc.? Absolutely, man. The Road to 10 Placements course, like, I put everything you possibly need, like literally from the start, from just zero up until like where I am now, like everything you need to get started, how to find companies to reach out to, how to reach out to them, what not to do, how to make sure the music is presented properly. All of that stuff is in the Road to 10 Placements. So absolutely, tips on how to track stuff. I like to use tunesat.com. You can create a free account, upload up to 50 tracks, and it'll show you the channel, the track that was used, the episode. It'll give you an audio clip. It's just super dope. So that's what I use to track stuff and see if it's working for me. That's what I teach my students to use as well. So yeah. But yeah, Road to 10 Placements, road to10placements.com, the number 10, and you'll have everything you need to get started. That's literally, like, when I started trying to get TV placements, I literally just documented everything I was doing. I was just like, all right, let me write down what I'm doing. Let me, create content around what I'm doing so that I can remember what I did in the first place, so I can go back and do it again. That's why it's so important to, like, even if you take the Road to 10 Placements course, document your own personal journey so you know what you did to get to wherever you are. So if anything happens, you lose your deal, whatever, you know how to start from scratch and do it all over again. So it's about, creating and learning repeatable processes. And that's what the Road to 10 Placements is. It's literally my personal blueprint to start getting TV placements without connections and, previous experience. So for sure. GIC Music tapping in. What's up? Breezy Brainstorm. I hear that hip hop is a hot genre for sync, but which subgenres seem to rank the most? Trap, boom, bap, lo-fi, West Coast, Bay Area, G-funk. Man, like, dude, a combination of all of it, dude. Like, I'm gonna tell you what you'll see a lot of. So, hip hop mixed with something else. So, a lot of like orchestral hip hop, cinematic hip hop. Like, those are two big ones. And it could be any of those subgenres. That, like, it's open. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually when they hit you up like, yo, we want cinematic hip hop. Dude, you can throw some dope strings, some cinematic sound design. You throw it over some trap. I haven't heard cinematic boom bap, but now I'm curious, so I may go try out some cinematic boom bap. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you can experiment. You can mix different things. Some cinematic West Coast. Like, I think that would be fire. Like, you can experiment with these things, these fusion genres, and then pitch it. Sometimes it works in your favor. Like, you create a whole nother fusion of a genre, and then pitch that whole joint as an album and get in the library because it's like something fresh and new. So yeah, it's kind of like all of the above. Sometimes they're specific. You know, I know there was a fitness company I submitted some lo-fi stuff to, so they were specific. Like, they want some lo-fi chill music, and they have references. And then sometimes it's, hey, we want just straight West Coast hip hop music. So it really depends on what the brief is asking for. So all right, so number 3. The third thing I learned from these recent TV placements. Drop the fire emoji if y'all ready for number 3. Cause I want to see if y'all soaking this in. I need to see if y'all paying attention to these gems, cause I'm dropping some stuff that can, I'm telling you, it'll supercharge your placements, man. From going from, you know, just a track being used here and there to, you know, seeing a track gain traction and get used. And I'm pulling this stuff from tracks that's been used multiple times within one episode, not just like a single placement. You know, past couple tracks I've done, you know, these sync breakdowns on my channel. They've been tracks where they're using 2, 3, 4 times in one episode, and that's a separate placement. Each one of those are a separate placement, so you get paid, you know, those 3, 4 different times, and royalties per use. So the reason you want to implement these things is so your track can get used as many times as possible, because the more it gets used, the more you get paid. And then the longer they use it, the more you get paid as well. You get like bonus and pay once you get past, what is it? I don't know, it's like a 45 or minute mark, something like that, around that area. The pay will go up a decent amount. So we want to make sure, you know, you optimize your tracks. That's why I created the How to Structure Instrumentals for TV course, because that is probably like one of the biggest things that hold producers back from truly breaking into sync, is because, again, you can have dope production, you can know how to mix, but like, if you just have this random structure that they're not used to, they're like, or it's ending a weird way, or the intro is like 74 seconds long, which is a super random number, but like, it's not gonna work. They're gonna be like, pass, like, hurry up, get to the point. So you need to know how to structure your stuff specifically for TV. It's not the same as just, you know, just creating something and being creative and shooting it to an artist and letting them be creative. You know, you got to know what they're looking for, to really get in there, and start getting some placements. So, all right, let's see. I'm seeing some fire emojis. Let's see. All right. Tim Bird with the explosions. I see you. All right. So we're going to drop number 3. Okay. Third thing I learned. Number 3, and it's kind of self-explanatory pretty much, but successful tracks leave clues every time. They leave clues. That's why I do these sync breakdowns. I only do sync breakdowns on stuff that gets placed. Like, there's no point of doing a breakdown on something that ain't got placed yet. Like, I don't know if it works yet. But I do these sync breakdowns, not for myself, but for you as well. But like, me doing the sync breakdowns for you is teaching me stuff while I'm doing the breakdown, because I'm learning. I'm like, yo, okay, this is why the track worked. So it's like I go back to a track that I haven't listened to in months, and then I go break down, okay, which parts did they use? Okay, they used this part. This part had one of those extra stings I put in there. So they like multiple stings. Or they use this track because of the way it broke down in the second verse. So, it, whatever. Or they use this track because of how easy it was to create alternate versions. So successful tracks leave clues. So like once you get started, right, you get your first deal, you start getting your first placements, go back to those first placements and like dissect them and study them, because there was a reason why it got placed. It was something they liked about it. Go back and start making more tracks like the ones that already got placed. Like, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. Like, you just use what works, what already works. When they send you reference tracks for the briefs that they send you, listen to the reference tracks and just recreate something that's close to the reference tracks. It's the ultimate cheat code. Like, you don't have to be this ultra creative, like, I'm so innovative. Like, don't nobody want your innovation, bruh. Like, they want you to create what they want you to create, and they send you examples of what they want you to create. Just create that. That's all you have to do, and you will see success. Like, it does not have to be just so fresh and never heard. Like, some people, man, they just like, yo, like, I have a sound that's never been imagined on the planet Earth, and I'm like, no, this has definitely been used and heard and produced multiple times on this planet. So, like, listen to the tracks that have gotten placed. Listen to the reference tracks, because usually when they send you reference tracks, it's stuff that either has gotten placed from their catalog or just really popular songs that they just can't afford to clear. When your tracks get placed, go back to those tracks, study them, listen to them, because they're leaving clues, right? Listen to the parts that get placed in the on your placements, like which parts of the track got placed. Listen to like, if you do multiple genres, like, pay attention to the genres that's getting placed the most, and then double down on that, because that's a huge clue as well. Tempo, pay attention to the tempo that's getting placed a lot. That's another clue. If you notice, like, between that 145, 160 range, you see a lot of placements with that stuff, probably means you should be making more of that stuff and less of, that 90 to 110 BPM, your R&B ballads and stuff like that don't get placed a lot. Like, I have some stuff in catalogs that are slower, my ballad stuff, and I love to produce R&B ballads, but it just doesn't get used a lot. So I'm not going to create a lot of it unless I get a request for it. So successful tracks leave clues. That's the third thing that I learned from these recent TV placements. So let's run it down again. So top 3 things I learned from recent TV placements. Number 1, think ahead and keep alternate versions in mind. Number 2, create tracks with multiple stings. That's been crucial, like, on the past several placements I've gotten on Netflix and History Channel. And then number 3, successful tracks leave clues. So pay attention to those clues. So if you guys got questions, definitely hit me with your questions. We got about 15 minutes just to plow through some questions that you all have and help you out some more. Thank you, Akila. That happens to me as a singer. I've made customized reference tracks in the style of Sade or in the style of Mariah Carey. There you go. Like, they gave you the blueprint. Follow the blueprint. I love it. One of the biggest learning curves is humbling yourself to create based on what's working for me, at least. Facts. And it's tough. It can be tough. Because you may like to create a certain genre, and if you're trying to break into sync, sometimes you may have to pivot. Like, for example, if your favorite genre is like, some mellow jazz music, that stuff just doesn't get requested a lot. So you may have to pivot and speed up the tempo and hop into a different genre, if that's what you want to do. Or you could just pivot and maybe just go in a different direction. You may want to go into the direction of creating music that plays on, like restaurants and shopping centers and things like that, and figure out ways to monetize your music that way and get it on different playlists that people like to listen to. It just may not be sync, or it's a niche somewhere where your music just excels in that particular niche, and you may have to pivot and do that. So it's up to you, how you want to play it. But sometimes, you kind of gotta do something different. GIC Music says, I started to email and contact music libraries and ask them if there's anything that are in need. I had a few requests to link to something I've worked on for a listen test. Boom. That's it. It's that simple. Like, reach out. Hey, what do you need? How can I help? And they'll let you know, like, let's listen to some of your music. Send them a streaming link, or however they want you to send it. Sometimes they'll say, hey, email it here, or go through this submission portal on our website and send it. And that's it. You send it, let the music do the talking for you. They'll hit you back if they like what they heard. And then now the key, and this is where a lot of producers mess up. Like, they'll do that for like 3 companies and then stop. Like, and then all 3 companies will say no, or it just doesn't move forward, and then they think, oh, well, it doesn't work, or it's hard to get into. Well, you only reached out to 3 companies, number one. So if you want to, it's like anything, man. It's like the law of averages. Like, if you it takes you, I don't know, say reaching out to 20 companies to get 1 yes, then if you want to get 3 yeses, you got to reach out to 60 companies. Just basic math. So the more you reach out the proper way, the higher the chance you have of hearing yes. And the more yeses you can get, the more licensing deals you can get, the more placements you can get. Same thing with submitting music. Once you get the deal, you can't submit 3 tracks and then just chill and be like, oh, I'll wait and see if these work first. Nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna be slow, or 5 years later you find out you got a placement and then you haven't created anything the past 5 years. So you got to make sure, those numbers are up. Get your pitch numbers up, get your submission. Once you sign the deal, get those numbers up, submit as consistent as possible so that you can increase the chances of actually getting placed. And that's how it works, man. And you got to do it. Do I have the notes, man? I had some notes. I don't think I have it like nearby, but one of my TV placement mastery students, do I have it here? But I wrote down like how many companies he had reached out to before getting his first licensing deal. I want to say it was within 8 weeks, because the TV placement mastery program is 12 weeks. So before the 12 weeks was up, like, he already locked in his first deal. But I asked him, like, how many companies did you? I don't know. I can't find it. I got too many notes on here. I was like, how many companies did you reach out to before that one? And it was like, I don't know. He was on a roll, man. I can't remember the number. I don't want to just say a random number, but like, it wasn't 3. I can tell you that. Like, it was in the double digits for sure. And he was going hard. Cause I have them reach out to like 3 to 5 companies every day for 30 days straight. So by the end of that, it's gonna be a lot of companies you've reached out to, but that's how we get to the yeses. That's how we get producers licensing deals within 12 weeks, is because we're like on the grind, reaching out and making sure our music is structured right, making sure we're reaching out right, making sure we understand the business and what to look forward to, making sure we understand the terminology, like all of that stuff. Like we just go in and we just lock in so that we can get to the yes quicker. Otherwise, it's going to take longer. Success has a need for speed, so you got to move fast. You can't be dragging your feet. So let's see. Got a few more minutes. Carlene says, thanks for the tips. No problem. I hope they help. Let's see. No doubt, BFL. Davey Dave, what's up? I see you. We Create Music TV, what's good? I emailed around 20 to 30 so far because I'm set on getting my name out there for them. I figured that I shouldn't wait for one library to get back to me. GIC he's dropping the sauce in the chat. Shout out to GIC Music. That's it. Like that again. Don't wait. That is the biggest mistake producers make. I see it all the time. They submit they submit 1.5 track to one company and then they wait. It's like they might not hit you back. Like I had one company I reached out to. They literally did not reach back out until like the end of the year. I reached out to them in like January. Bro, it was almost Christmas. And they hit me back with a rejection email. So it's like I would have waited an entire year just to hear no. And it was shout out to Crucial Music. They rejected me in those early days. But like that's the process, man. Like, do you want to wait a whole year just to hear no, or do you want to reach out to a bunch of companies, speed up that process, get through all the no's so you can hurry up and get to the yes? I'd rather have the second one. So yeah, just keep, and then don't stop. Like, you know, in the Road to 10 Placements, there's a directory to jumpstart the search, but after the directory, don't stop. It's like over 100 companies in there, but it still doesn't stop. Once you go through the 100, if you haven't gotten a yes yet, well, I show you how to find more companies. So start finding more companies and reaching out to them. Keep going until you get the yes or the yeses. And that's what it takes. So yeah. Let's see. We got a few more minutes. Let me see if I skipped over some questions. D Drake, is it DJ Rum? DJ Rum 615. Trying to see what I can do with producing skills to make money. Indeed, there's a lot of things you can do to make money as a producer. And that, like, it's so dope. It's such a dope time to be a producer. So you can obviously produce music for sync, produce music for artists, the major, indie, whichever direction you want to go. You can create loop packs. You can mix and master off of those services on sites like Upwork and Sound Better and Fiverr, all these different freelance sites. You can offer those services on there. If you know how to record, I don't know, depending on what your setup is. I know everybody don't like random people coming to the crib. I know I don't. So, you know, if you got a studio or something, boom, you got a studio. You can do studio time. You can create courses. Like if you're an expert in, you know, whatever DAW you use or whatever, like you can create a course on that. Show other people how to do it. Create a YouTube channel. Show people how to use the DAW that you're an expert at. Or just create a YouTube channel and just show your process. And then boom, you know, you're helping people out. And then you're creating, you know, a channel that could possibly turn into another stream of income through ad revenue and things like that. Merch, you build a brand. You know, you may have merch just like this. I Make Music, Not Excuses hat, which is available. The link is in the description. This is a shameless plug. I am plugging this hat that I'm wearing because it is my hat. So you can create merch and sell that. There's a lot of different things you can do. You just got to figure out what you want to do, which lane you want to go down, and then just kind of focus on that. And, you know, just make it happen. Let me see. What other questions have I skipped over? Yes. Do I know where Panda Bear is? Oh, Trey's Panda Bear. Sorry, my wife. We've lost the Panda Bear. Oh, is he? He's putting you through it, ain't he? Check under. It's either under his bed or in the office under the futon. Check under the covers too. If it's not under there, I don't know. Like he tosses that thing around like it gets lost easily. Shout out to Panda Bear. These are like daddy duties that just come up at any time. I love it. So we're on the hunt for Panda Bear. I love adding subgenre to my hip hop compositions. That's where it's at, man. Man, it's so many requests for that. Like hip hop is literally on fire in sync. This will tell you how on fire hip hop really is in sync. The NHL is starting to use more hip hop music now. Hockey, like, it's crazy. And like historically, you don't hear a lot of hip hop on hockey. Like, so it's just, yeah. We need your dope hip hop in sync. If that's what you do. But then there's other stuff too. But hip hop is definitely on fire. And ads. Just listen to the ads, man. Listen to ads. Listen to the shows, the movies, the trailers. Trailerized hip hop is crazy. It's crazy. By far my favorite part is the dadding. Appreciate you, bro. No doubt. Patty P put the panda emojis in the chat. I realize that most syncable tracks seem very, very minimalistic. Would you say a minimalistic approach is the best way to go? You know what? I'll be honest with you. Probably like the most successful tracks I've had placed have been the more simple tracks. And by simple, I mean just like a simple melody. You know, I'll have one main melody. I may have something that complements that melody, but for the most part, there's one main melody. There's chords that complement that melody. And then from there, it's just layering of instrumentation and transitional effects and drums. That's kind of been the formula for me. And then maybe like a second melody just for the breakdowns in my verses. Because, you know, you want to, when you do your breakdowns, like you don't want that joint to just sound empty. It's just only a kick and snare. So I'll have something. But yeah, keeping that thing open and simple it just works. It just works. I don't know what it is. And then you got to think too, like we're creating music that, you know, for production music, a lot of times people are talking over this music. So don't nobody want to hear your elaborate synth lead solos over somebody arguing on Love and Hip Hop. So, you know, keep that in mind. Like people are talking over this stuff. They're about to turn the volume down super low anyway. So yeah, minimalistic way is the way to go. Now, when you get into trailer stuff, things get a little less minimal, if you ask me. You know, there's a lot more sound design going on. There's a lot more like sound effects and you know, rise and falls, and like this is really, really dynamic. So I think I would say that stuff, trailer stuff, ad stuff, you know, it's a lot more. Or if there's like a spot where the music is driving everything and there's not like dialogue over it, that stuff is going to be, you know, a little more musical, I feel. So yeah. So yeah, I remember you saying at one time, don't overthink it. Facts, don't overthink it. By the way, this is one of the best Q&A, dropping all the gems. Thank you, Zimzada. I appreciate it. So yeah. So we about to wrap it up, man. For those who are on the YouTube channel, stick around because we're gonna start the live music reviews. So that's gonna be dope. We always come across just some ridiculousness in the live music reviews, both good and bad. Mostly good though. So stick around on the channel. I'm gonna create another stream after I end this one, and then we're gonna hop on that joint, listen to your music, see if it's ready for TV and film. Like this is your time to share your music and see if it's ready. So that's it, man. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, be sure to like it, share it with somebody. And yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.